So next we'll be doing this exercise Nginx.
So Nginx is it's same as Apache server, right?
Yeah, it is same as Apache server, but it
Mhm.
has gained popularity because of some advanced feature it has. One of the advanced feature is it is able to handle means more number of concurrent connection as compared to Apache. There are some other advantages as well, but this is one of the main one. So many people prefer Nginx.
Okay, so is that supports Java as well, like Java J2EE applications, or
But you know that for Java and all, there are some other like Tomcat and all are preferred, right?
right?
Right.
Yes.
So what the people do is they'll use it in Nginx or Apache for serving the static content. Even Tomcat is able to serve those. Okay, the combination depends upon the architecture of the application.
Okay. So are we going to install, not now, I mean, not on the web server, but not on the
No,
Linux?
dynamic contents we are not covering in this course, okay?
Okay,
Because most
but
of the people are not even familiar with the coding and all, okay?
right.
So the
No,
learning the
I'm
concept is important. Yeah, tell me.
correct. I was asking like when we will be learning the JIT and then CI/CD pipeline
Mm-hmm.
and then the proper Kubernetes this and that.
Yeah.
So are we going to cover Java because that's where
Yeah, but this is a foundation course. As a part of the foundation course, we are not covering Node.js, Java, and all. But
Mhm.
most of the concepts will be covered uh, by deploying an application. Okay, so by deploying an application, it can be anything. In this case, it is HTML app.
Okay, okay.
Maybe in one of the project we'll be having after 2 months. Okay, after the
Mhm.
completion, there I'll give an example on Java.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
What about these settings for creating pool, seeing how many pools and uh, setting admin, access and all that user accounts? Is that something you're going to cover on this Apache or uh, the other
No,
server?
that admin access which you are saying is a part of Tomcat. Okay, most of the time it's done in the Tomcat. Here,
Here you don't do it.
no, here we don't do it.
How about the session pool and in session pools or anything?
No, that is not part of this course. Okay, and the
Okay.
sessions and all are mostly covered using application and all. Okay, and the
Okay.
application architecture we are not going to cover here.
Mm.
Okay, and even I'm not an application developer. I'm just a DevOps engineer.
All right. No, no, no.
Uh-huh.
So I use mostly IIS and other.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
we do set up all this thing on
yeah,
the server side, nothing
yeah,
related to
yeah.
application.
But if when you learn about Docker and all, okay,
Mm.
so next you will come to know that this is not so important, and
All
this is
right,
not
right.
for us. Okay, DevOps
Yeah,
engineer.
and Docker you don't even require then
Yeah, that's
Docker.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay.
So we should know how to do it on the VM. The same concept is used in the Docker as well. So what we will do is now I'll be installing the Nginx. Okay, and remember even the Nginx uses the same var www.html location. So what we'll do is first we'll go to var www.html and I'll again create one more directory, website backup, and what I'll move everything to the website backup. Okay, so in short it is almost empty. Now let's see netstat hyphen that if the port 80 is in use. Okay, port 80 is in use. Okay, and one of the other command lsof hyphen grep 80, this will show this command will show list of open files, means which file is using port 80. So here we'll come to know Apache 2 is using port 80, and even Nginx runs on port 80. So the ports are very important. That's why I'll be always referring these two commands, netstat and lsof, and the third one will be telnet. So why telnet? Localhost 80. Okay, that means the port connection is okay. So all these three commands are very much useful even in the DevOps world while troubleshooting why the application is running. Means why the application is not running and all. Okay, so that's why these three commands I'll always use. So now we know that Apache 2 is using port 80. Okay, and it will interfere or conflict with Nginx port. That's why we'll stop the service. When we stop the service, it will stop listening on that particular port. So if you see, there is no Apache here in list of open files. Similarly, if you do netstat, port 80 is not in use. This is the connection. Okay, that is something else. But if you do curl localhost now, it will not give anything. It will say connection refused because the Apache service is not running. And in case if we want that even at the startup, okay, when we reboot the VM, it should be not started because this is temporary. When we stop it, it is temporary. We'll have to do disable. So I have disabled Apache 2 even at the startup of the VM. Now just check if it is disabled. So for that the command is enabled, and it says it is disabled even at the startup. Now we are ready to install sudo apt-get install nginx.
So, 80 is on an open HTTP port, right?
Yes,
So for that, if you have to use the SSL or secured one, then
443. We'll have
443, then we can pass it here also, right?
Yeah, we can pass it here also. For that there is a different configuration. We'll have to give the details of private and public key,
Mm.
and the certificate we'll have to
Certificate.
give the path. Yeah, we'll have to generate a certificate. Okay, CSR and all we'll have to give.
Okay.
So we have installed nginx. Just check systemctl status nginx. Okay, so it is running, and now let's check the ports as well. Okay, so if you see nginx is using port 80, and if you do netstat, it will show it is running on both TCP/IP 4 and 6. In Apache it was showing only one, but in Nginx it's showing both. So 0.0.0 means it's working on all the interfaces. If I do IPA, it is working on loopback address as well as ENPS 03. Now just to curl localhost, okay, it is showing the default page of Nginx. And if I do curl 192.168.1.11, the same thing. Now let's go to the web page and try to access it. Okay, now it will show the default nginx page. Now let's go to var www.html, and this is the default page which is getting displayed on the screen. We'll next change it. Again, I'll move it to backup. and I'll create my own index.html page. So sudo I'll add my web page on Nginx. Just to curl localhost. Okay, this will display this. Okay, my web page on Nginx. Now the configuration files are saved in /etc nginx. Just go to sites available and default. So if you see in Apache it was document root, here it will say root. Okay, so this is the configuration file where it displays the default root directory from where the pages will be served. If you see, it is saying server is listening on port 80 here. So what we'll do is we'll just change it. And the SSL configuration which you are asking, we'll have to just uncomment it and add the required details, and it will start listening on port 443 as well. So instead of port 80, I want to make it run on port 8010. Okay, so I'll just change port 80 to 8010. Similarly here I'll do 8010 and just save it. And after saving, we'll have to restart it. Sudo systemctl restart nginx. Now using netstart command, check if it is running on port 80. So it is just a established connection, the below one, but now it is not running on port 80 but 8010. Similarly, check using lsof command, port 80. So port 80 is not in use now, it is 8010. In search, it is just taking the first two. Okay, so now if I do curl localhost, when we do curl localhost, it checks by default on port 80 connection. It is a port connection refused. Now I'll check 8010. Okay, and now it is showing my page on Nginx. Similarly, if I refresh the page here, okay, it will not work. And if I add port 8010, it will show my web page. Okay, so there are many configurations which we can change in the configuration file. So as per the requirement, we'll have to edit the file, but the same thing is also possible on Apache as well. Okay, so that's it for today. You just complete both the exercises which I've covered now.